Good evening. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is alarmed about a vote in the Senate that could make its work even more difficult. The senators have just watered down a key proposed legislation in what the agency strongly believes is a plot to grab state tenders. It is the Conflict of Interest Bill 2023, which the Senate passed with drastic amendments. It has thus watered down this proposed law to curb the plague that is conflict of interest. Yet, when it approved the bill, the cabinet was upbeat that it would enable a paradigm shift if enacted. Now, instead of helping to boost the fight against the rampant public sector corruption, the Senate has decided to give MPs, governors, cabinet and principal secretaries, parastatal chiefs and other officials a sweet deal. If passed, they will be able to easily bag government contracts. Conflict of interest has been a problem since a commission of inquiry in the 1970s allowed civil servants to own and run private businesses so long as they were publicly declared. However, the mess persisted even after the government adopted a code of ethics for civil servants in 1979. This new bill was intended to curb corruption in public procurement, where government officials influence the award of lucrative tenders to their own firms and those linked to their relatives and associates. The senators quashed provisions that sought to prohibit these officials from seeking tenders in public entities. They also deleted the requirement of regular declaration of wealth, including the wives and children's, in order to curb unexplained accumulation of wealth. It was meant to discourage officials from doing business with the government and illegally amassing wealth. Millionaires have been created overnight, especially in the counties, from people whose salaries cannot meet their lavish lifestyles. Some governors, MPs and cabinet secretaries have faced graft charges arising from multi-billion shilling tenders, as a bill passed by the Senate must be submitted to the National Assembly. The EACC has petitioned MPs to salvage it in public interest. Now, the EACC is quite right that this will adversely affect the anti-corruption war by eroding the gains made so far. That is the memo tonight. Tonight.
And it's like they are comfortable with it, and it's like they are saving the face of Ministry of Health, which have been sleeping on their jobs, and they are very incompetent. The impunity here is saddening.
Exit clinical officers, enter intern doctors. No reprieve yet at Afia House as intern doctors down their tools once again, accusing the Ministry of Health for failing to honor its promises.
Assalamu alaikum.
Also tonight,
and my faith is restored on Kenyan judiciary because they have served us a justice, and the way Justice Stella conducted the case, it was really remarkable.
Arshad Sharif's murder was unconstitutional. Kenyan government ordered to pay his family 10 million shillings. Plus,
we are going to think, and we will come back to you with solutions that will not transfer the prices of fuel, make it higher than it is at the moment for the people of Kenya, because we have had you.
Government to consider public recommendations in the review of road maintenance levy. Will the will of the people prevail? And
I have today appointed an independent task force to carry out a comprehensive forensic audit over our public debt.
Not so fast. High Court slams the brakes on the operations of a task force appointed and gazetted to audit Kenya's national debt.
Live from Nation Center, This is NTV Tonight with Zainab Ismail.
And David Agondoa on the sign language interpretation beat. Now, hundreds of intern doctors Monday morning flocked the Ministry of Health headquarters seeking to get their employment letters, which they were promised 2 months ago. The interns are vowed to down their tools until the Ministry of Health addresses their grievances. But even as the intern doctors embarked on phase 2 of their strike, clinical officers who have been on strike for more than 3 months called off their strike after signing a return to work formula. NTV's Brian Mushiri has that report.
60 days after the signing of a return-to-work formula between the government and the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union KMPDU, with a promise that issues affecting medical interns will be resolved, hundreds of medical interns on Monday staged a peaceful demonstration outside the Ministry of Health headquarters, demanding to be posted immediately. Majority of the interns who have been waiting for internship letters for almost 2 years say that they have lost hope with KMPDU officials whom they accuse of fighting for themselves.
KMPDU is talking of batch posting and according to CBA, and it's like they are comfortable with it, and it's like they are saving the face of Ministry of Health, which have been sleeping on their jobs, and they are very incompetent. The impunity here is saddening.
By 8 a.m. Monday, KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela had arrived at Afya House for a closed-door meeting with Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumincha, among other Health Ministry officials, over the promises the government made during the signing of the return-to-work formula. By 9:35 a.m., just before the interns showed up, Dr. Atela drove out of Afya House. Minutes later, CS Nakumincha would also leave Afya House, with officials disclosing to NTV that they were moving their discussions to Treasury as the stalemate over payment and posting of medical interns intensifies.
I want to ask His Excellency, the President, you promised us that you will post the interns. May you please keep your word, work with your CS to ensure that this is done. Otherwise, we are not living here without the letters. And Nakumincha, you have to listen to us. You are serving us, you have to listen to us.
This as clinical officers who have been on strike for the last 99 days are now expected to go back to work from Tuesday morning, as the National Union called off their strike apart from those working in national government hospitals, where the union accuses the Ministry of Health of infamy. According to the Clinical Officers National Secretary General George Gibore, the county governments through the Council of Governors have kept their end of the bargain, especially on issuance of insurance covers for clinical officers, as well as an affirmation on non-victimization. COG further urged Kenyans to register for the ongoing shift.
We, the clinical officer, are your complement, not your enemy. We can work together to better the service of our people and to ensure, for us, when we are there, we are only asking for accountability or for enhancement of the existing laws.
I am positive. In the 60 days that we have agreed, it will be possible to have all the 47 counties with their staff having medical cover, because it's the right thing to do. We need our staff to be comfortable and to be confident when they offer services to our people.
Brian Mushiri, NTV, Nairobi.
And now the High Court has ordered the government to compensate the family of slain Pakistani TV journalist Arshad Sharif 10 million Kenya shillings following his murder in 2022 in Kajiado County by the police in alleged mistaken identity. Justice Stella Mutuku, delivering the verdict on Monday morning, declared Sharif's killing unconstitutional, affirming that his fundamental rights to life and protection had been grievously violated. Here's the story. In the ruling by Justice Stella Mutuku sitting at the High Court in Kajiado, the claim by the police that the killing was a case of mistaken identity and that officers believed they were firing at a stolen vehicle involved in an abduction was rejected. The court ruled that Arshad was subjected to torture as his life was cut short without a just cause. She ordered the government to pay the family 10 million shillings as compensation for the loss of his life. However, she suspended the financial award for 30 days, granting the government a window to appeal the decision. The Pakistani journalist was shot in the head when police officers opened fire on his car in October 2022. He was a passenger in a Toyota Land Cruiser KDG 200M and the police claim to have been trailing a different vehicle, a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van KDG 700F, allegedly stolen from Pangani, Nairobi. His widow Javeria Siddiq had filed a complaint last year against top police and legal officials over the murder, terming it an arbitrary and unlawful killing with consequent failure to investigate. She had sued the Attorney General, the Inspector General of Police, the Director of Public Prosecutions, as well as the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, accusing them of delaying investigations into the shooting and keeping the family in the dark concerning the probe.
It's a contract killing. It's a targeted killing. It's never a mistaken identity. Today it has been proven in court as well. And for me, I want everyone who is involved in killing to be punished as soon as possible. And loss of life cannot be compensated in monetary terms or in the pain or suffering of the family.
Speaking exclusively to NTV, the widow welcomed the ruling by the court, expressing gratitude to the judiciary.
I'm very happy today, and my faith is restored on Kenyan judiciary because they have served us a justice. And the way Justice Stella conducted the case, it was really remarkable.
Justice Mutuku also ruled that the Director of Public Prosecutions and the Independent Policing Oversight Authority had violated Sharif's rights by failing to prosecute the 2 police officers involved. She directed the police to conclude the investigations into the killing and appropriate action to be taken against the officers found culpable.
Still we need justice in Pakistan. Since 1 year there is no hearing in his case because this case have a transitional character in Pakistan, in UAE and in Kenya. So today I get like justice from the one country, but still there is justice to be served in Pakistan and in UAE. Like this case will be will set a new trends in freedom of speech and for like freedom of journalists.
Arshad Sharif had fled to Kenya in July 2022 on a self-imposed exile, citing threats to his life and to avoid arrest for allegedly criticizing the country's powerful military rule. Zainab Ismail, NTV. And our President William Ruto has suffered a setback in his bid to have the national debt audited by task force. This is after the High Court temporarily suspended the independent task force appointed last week to audit the public debt. Nakuru-based Sergeant Dr. Magare Gikenyi and a petitioner named Eliud Matindi moved to court to challenge the legality of the task force. The petitioners argue that the task force is unconstitutional since it will be usurping the mandate of the Auditor General and was therefore unconstitutional. 2 days ago, the Law Society of Kenya President Faith Odhiambo rejected her appointment to the task force, also terming it unconstitutional. Meanwhile, the government has shelved plans to increase the road maintenance levy by 7 shillings per litre of petrol after facing a backlash with Kenyans who rejected the proposed charges. Most of the Kenyans who submitted their concerns during a public participation conducted on Monday said the new levy would exacerbate the already burdening cost of living. NTV's Kevin Mutai now reports that Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has said his ministry will source for other avenues to maintain the roads.
During a public participation held in Mombasa, the Kenya Roads Board invited residents to submit their views on the roads maintenance levy. And here, locals took issue with the proposed increase of the levy by 7 shillings from 18 shillings to 25 shillings to be charged on petrol and diesel.
It will also come and affect us as the business people, because one, in tourism, as you know, with the mood in the government currently, if anything else added up, our product will be very expensive. We are already expensive as we are. Our numbers are also going down. We are competing with our neighbors who've just come in the market the other day.
This fuel levy will kill transporters across the country. So this will also be beneficial to the neighboring countries because why? On their side, the cost of living is a bit low. The fuel is also low. So it means as a transporter, itabidi niende ni fuel gari yangu Tanzania ama Uganda.
Generally, there's a feeling that the cost of living is high, and stakeholders, some of them feel that this will further aggravate the situation.
They are of the opinion that the charges would cripple different economic sectors, further escalating the challenges facing the country's economic misfortunes.
We've requested them to put it on the shelf, go back to the drawing board, and one, come in with the data to show us why they have to increase at 7 shillings, show us what they've done with the previous collection, and what they intend to do with the incoming collection.
Ndio hatukatai barabara lazima zijengwe, barabara lazima ziweze kuwa maintained, lakini kile tunaomba sana waachane na mambo ya kuongeza levy. Ile kitu wafanye, wapunguze ufisadi katika hizi agencies zetu za barabara.
On his part, Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said the proposed levies were meant to address the maintenance deficit of 78 billion shillings in the current financial year. Murkomen says the ministry projects a gap of more than 315 billion shillings by 2028-2029 fiscal year.
Means that you will require an extra 78 billion in the next financial year on top of it for us to at least maintain the roads. This is maintenance, this is not construction. This is not even completion of the pending roads. I'm just talking about maintenance of our existing roads.
The CS now says that the government will venture into other ways of collecting the cash to maintain the roads. He noted that there is an increase of 166,451 kilometers of a road network in 2016 to 239,122 kilometers in 2024, which requires regular financing.
The 7 shillings we are proposing will bring us to 115. Yeah, so you are still far away from what you require, which is 157. But at least when you move closer, you are able to save some of the roads. We are going to think, and we will come back to you with solutions that will not transfer the prices of fuel, make it higher than it is at the moment for the people of Kenya.
Kevin Mutai, NTV.
And a Shanzu court has set marathon hearing dates in the Shakahola massacre cases in which Paul Mackenzie and 94 others are faced with 13 terrorism-related counts. Principal Magistrate Leah Juma said she will start hearing witnesses from the 8th to the 11th of July and also from the 22nd to the 25th of July this year. The court further ordered the probation department to expedite preparation of pre-bail reports. Juma granted an additional 21 days to the probation team to complete the reports on the remaining 35 out of the 95 accused persons. Elsewhere, former Migori Governor Zachary Okoth Obado, his 4 children Dan Achola, Scarlett Susan, Evelyn Zachary and Jerry Zachary, together with 11 other accused persons on Monday, appeared before Milimani Anti-Corruption Court in relation to the alleged theft of public funds and conflict of interest in Migori County Government. During the hearing before Chief Magistrate Victor Wakumile, the first prosecution witness, EACC investigating officer, narrated to the court how the fraudulent scheme by the former governor and the 11 other people accused, including his 4 children and county officials, was hatched and executed. The payments amounting to 235 million shillings remained unexplained, thus deemed to have been fraudulently acquired from the county government. Meanwhile, a man accused of breach of privacy by disclosing the personal information to a third party now wants journalists barred from covering the case, arguing that the media coverage is humiliating. The court has, however, directed Hatim Mohamed Tahir, through his lawyer Duncan Okach, to file a formal application. The court will, on the 29th of this month, make a ruling on whether to allow the media cover the case or not. Mohamed is accused of contravening Section 72B and Section 73 of the Data Protection Act. All right, time to take our first break here on NTV tonight. But before that, just a quick update here is that we know that President William Ruto is going to assent to the IEBC bill tomorrow at the KICC at 9 a.m. And of course, they're saying, according to the update, is that the first bill successfully processed by the Parliament was based on the recommendations of the National Dialogue Committee report. And now President William Ruto is inviting the leaders of parliamentary parties, both inside and outside of Parliament, to join him for this event tomorrow at KICC. All right, let's take that break. We'll be back.
Kwa star 570 hash tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this brand new Mazda Demio.
Enjoy a beautiful clean semi-leather interior, low mileage, touchscreen and a reverse cam, fuel efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business.
Ukitaka kujishindia gari hili, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza star 570 hash, chagua option number 4, kisha unajiunga na draw. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa, because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Gari ya pili ni yako. Ni yako.
Hii Julai, jishindie Demio na Loto Moto. Tucheze, tusaidie na tushinde.
My skin is my identity, my strength. It's unique and deserves care made specially for me. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Advanced Care with 5 oils and 5 vitamins. 48-hour nourishment. Helps reduce appearance of stretch marks in just 2 weeks. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Advanced Care for your shade of beautiful.
Everyone can be an expert in his or her field. You can be an expert in all analytics. You know who will be the next star of the season. You can be an expert in all matches. You're an expert in statistics or people's opinions. 1xBet will help you show your expertise. Express yourself. You're the expert.
Acne-prone skin? Marks? Stop. Try new Garnier Charcoal Serum with 4% AHA, BHA and charcoal. The first black serum with no residue. Clinically proven to reduce pimples and acne marks. New Garnier AHA, BHA Charcoal Serum. Approved by dermatologists by Garnier Naturally.
Very good evening to you. I do trust that your night has been kind to you. Let's take a look at the business news. My name is Nina Shaban. Now we start off with the Kenya Revenue Authority missed its target for the full year ended June by 267 billion shillings, hurt by reduced corporate profits and low job cuts in a period when businesses were devastated by the depreciation of the shilling and the high energy prices. The taxman collected 2.22 trillion in ordinary revenue, an increase of 9.5%. from 2.03 trillion that it received in the fiscal year ending June 2023. The KRA aimed to collect 2.76 trillion by the end of June 2024, which was revised downwards to 2.49 trillion after the Treasury tabled the second supplementary budget towards the end of the fiscal year. In total, KRA, which also collects other taxes on behalf of other state agencies, collected 2.4 trillion in the year ending June compared to 2.16 trillion collected in the same period last year. Now let's take a look at the revenue breakdown. The collections included agency fees, which grew by 34.9% to stand at 184 billion, while the exchequer revenue grew by 9.5% to stand at 2.223 trillion, and this totals to 2.407 trillion. On the other hand, or rather on the key performance of different tax heads, starting with capital gain tax, it went up by 49.5%, collecting 8.4 billion, and this is attributable to the increase of the capital gain tax from 5% to 15%. Excise on betting, on the other hand, was up by 26.2%, with 24.27 billion collected, as domestic value added tax, also known as VAT, witnessed an increase of 15.3% to settle at 314.16 trillion. Pay as you An, also known as PAYE, grew by 9.7% with 534 billion, and the Domestic Excise Corporation grew by 8.1% to settle at 73.6 billion and 4.9% to settle at 278.16 billion shillings, respectively. Manufacturers have recorded reduced input costs on account of Kenya shillings rally against the dollar, and the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has reported. In its Q3 Business Barometer, a business environment soundness survey, the chamber members reported reduced costs of imports of essential goods that are used in manufacturing. However, small and medium enterprises continue to decry a tough business environment marred with taxes and overlapping license needs that hinder business.
Inflationary pressure contributing to rising.
Low-cost airline Jambojet loses up to 20% of its business during the Maandamano days, caused by passenger delays that in turn result into flight delays. Karanja Dagwa, the carrier's chief executive officer, says that although the negative impact on the business, the firm still stands and supports citizens freely voicing their views as it is their constitutional right. Regardless the political unease across the nation impacted by the contentious Finance Bill 2024, Jambojet ambitiously continues to expand its business, now offering flights directly to Zanzibar from Mombasa, making this its second regional destination after Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The carrier is now offering 4 weekly flights at a cost of 24,000 shillings return ticket, encouraging Kenyans to tap into business opportunities in the country that harbors 1.8 million citizens, whose economy driver is the tourism sector. Currently, at its peak season, which is the summer, most, if not all, of the 670 hotels in the young nation are fully booked, and Jambojet plans to increase flights and frequency if and when there is an increase in passengers.
The rights. People are allowed, our constitution allows people to picket, but the whole aspect is how they do it. What we have been observing is that as a business, whenever we have the Maandamano, it does affect the business. We find the last 1 week we've seen a 20%, especially on the days that we have the strikes. You find about quite a number of people cancelling their flights. Not that much, but about 20%. 20% is a lot. Yeah. For us, so it does affect business. You find there are people who are not able to get to the airport on time, cancellations.
Well, that's it for Business News tonight. My name is Nina Shaban. After the break, but not long, we'll be bringing you the sports news.
Ngozi yako ina glow. Nilijipaka mafuta leo asubuhi nikikam, lakini skin yangu ishaparara and it looks so dull. Sis, see, it's the new Nice and Lovely Lemon Extract Body Lotion. Hiyo ndo secret yangu to a moisturized and bright skin. Usimix.
New Nice and Lovely Lemon Lotion, enriched with vitamin C and sunflower seed oil for 48-hour nourishing glow and brighter skin. Try Nice and Lovely Lemon Lotion today.
Kwa star 570 hash tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this brand new Mazda Demio.
Enjoy a beautiful, clean, semi-leather interior, low mileage, touchscreen and a reverse cam, fuel-efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business.
Ukitaka kujishindia gari hili, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza star 570 hash, chagua option number 4, kisha unajiunga na draw. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Gari ya pili ni yako. ni yako.
Hii Julai, jishindie Demio na Loto Moto. Tucheze, tusaidie na tushinde.
Acne-prone skin, marks? Stop. Try new Garnier Charcoal Serum with 4% AHA, BHA and charcoal. The first black serum with no residue. Clinically proven to reduce pimples and acne marks. New Garnier AHA, BHA Charcoal Serum. Approved by dermatologists by Garnier Naturally.
Colgate Herbal is formulated from a unique blend of natural herbs and is scientifically proven to strengthen teeth and keep gums healthy. Try Colgate Herbal, scientifically proven for strong teeth and healthy gums. Colgate Charcoal, the charcoal toothpaste you can trust.
Everyone can be an expert in his or her field. You can be an expert in all analytics. You know who will be the next star of the season. You can be an expert in all matches. You are an expert in statistics or people's opinions. 1xBet will help you show your expertise. Express yourself. You're the expert.
Hello there, it's time for the sports update. I'm Bernard Ndong. Kayole City Stars recorded the highest score in the Nairobi opening round of the FKF Youth League that kicked off this weekend with 15 youth centers across the country. City Stars hammered their opponents Kayole Citizens 7-0 in the under-13 category that was played in Kayole. In the under-15, Wolfsburg FC mauled G45 4-0. In Langata, Maroon Hawks were too strong for LSA, edging their opponents 4-0 in the under-13 category. In Kariobangi Bright narrowly edged Apex 4-3 in a tight clash. Bakasi North and Metro Mamba ended in a barren draw. Matches were also hosted in other centers in Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Kakamega and Turkana.
Kwa ground na tunashukuru FKF kwa kuangalia hiyo talent yetu tunanecha hapa kwa hii ground. So tukiendelea hivyo at least watu wakigrow kwa background fit wakicheza hizi ma games za watu wakiwa wadogo kwa ligi zetu za hizi kubwa kama Division 1, ma-county nini zitakuwa na watu wanajua ball.
Football is about grassroots. So I think with this we'll be able to see another Messi, another Ronaldo from the youths here. That's what we're trying to do here. Yeah.
The Kenya Golf Union chairman David Ndongo believes junior golfers could be the dark horses at the Kenya Amateur Golf Championship Series events after Sigona Sevi Soni's exploits at the Limuru Open. The 15-year-old Soni tied for third place alongside the reigning Kenya Amateur Golf champion John Legirma of Kenya Railways Golf Club and Elvis Moigua of Kiambu Golf Club.
Good field of juniors participating this week, and it's actually remarkable that the junior that finished top was tied third, Sevi Soni from Sigona Golf Club at only 15 years old. So he led the pack of quite a number of juniors that also included Tanish Gudka from Muthaiga and Kevin Anyen from Golf Park. So it's quite encouraging to see the young players coming up strongly and fighting it out with the senior players. And we look forward to actually having more of them win the KGC series events.
And finally, with just 18 days until the 2024 Paris Olympics, Kenyan race walker veteran Samuel Yadhimba has his eyes set on glory when he sets foot on the streets of the French capital on the morning of the 1st of August. After finishing fourth in the 2023 World Championships held in Budapest, Hungary, the 2019 African Games champion is confident of making it to the podium. Well, that's the end of the sports. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernard Ndong. Remember, I'll still be in studio for Sport On, and on the show tonight, we're focusing on the fight against doping.
All right, thanks, Bernard, for that. This is where we wrap up NTV tonight. Thank you so much for your company. On the sign language interpretation bit was David Agondoa. My name is Zainab Ismail. Good night.
This is NTV.
kupitia kwa star 570 hash tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this brand new Mazda Demio.
Enjoy a beautiful, clean, semi-leather interior, low mileage, touchscreen and a reverse cam, fuel-efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business.
Ukitaka kujishindia gari hili, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza star 570 hash, chagua option number 4, kisha unajiunga na draw. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Gari ya pili ni yako. Ni yako.
Hii Julai, jishindie Demio na Loto Moto. Tucheze, tusaidie na tushinde.
You asked women empowerment,
business ideas, careers,
fashion,
men's mental health, neno la Mungu,
parenting.
Ni vijana wanaweza pata tudo.
We listened.
I'm a bit scared because the rate of divorce is really high.
Marriage is a scam. It's new, it's fresh, it's your world, your reality.
Acne-prone skin, marks? Stop. Try new Garnier Charcoal Serum with 4% AHA, BHA and charcoal. The first black serum with no residue. Clinically proven to reduce pimples and acne marks. New Garnier AHA, BHA Charcoal Serum. Approved by dermatologists by Garnier Naturally.
Everyone can be an expert in his or her field. You can be an expert in all analytics. You know who will be the next star of the season. You can be an expert in all matches. You are an expert in statistics or people's opinions. 1xBet will help you show your expertise. Express yourself. You're the expert. This is NTV.
Right, welcome to another edition of Sport On. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. James Wakabi. James, you have a smile on your face, and I know why. It's because of what happened this weekend.
Bernard, it's faith's world. We all live in it. Yes. For someone to effortlessly cruise, because I used the word effortlessly, for her to effortlessly cruise to a new world record, it's been a fantastic weekend.
Indeed, and we begin on that note where Faith Kipyegon obviously broke the 1500 meters record, Wakabi. The thing I was thinking about, of course, in terms of that performance, Wakabi, remember there's a very big promise that the government made some time back in terms of records. So I do hope that somewhere in that to-do list that they have to ensure that she gets what is owed to her.
Yes. Given that she's doing this for fun, this is what her fourth world record in slightly over a year.
Yeah.
She seems to just do it for easy in it for it. But for me, away from her, it's just the way she looked. Because last year when she broke the world record, it was such a huge attempt. This one, she looked like she was just gliding around the track. And then, even when she finishes, her celebration was very different. Her tongue out, that's very cheeky. It's almost like, I knew it, I've done it.
Right. Now, of course, something else was happening as well. That was in Paris, in France, which will be hosting the Olympic Games. But in the Netherlands, Ferdinand Romanyala was also in action, Wakabi. And he looked similar as well. He looked like composed, he looked zen, some would say, in the zone.
Also, very good performance, 10:01 in driving rain. That tells you something about just the way he looked. And he also eased off towards the finish, which is not bad. It just tells you that he's also getting into form at the right time. And given how competitive the 100 is, it was a good performance by Fedi.
Now, back to Faith Kipyegon, of course, she's one of the athletes to watch out for in terms of the Olympics. Wakabi is very confident that she'll be one of the medalists at the Paris Games. Let's just appreciate her journey in the world of athletics, of course, given the recent performance that she had in the streets of Paris.
I'm Faith Kipyegon, double Olympic champion, and as well 4 times world champion, 1500 world record holders. So this is my seat. So, thank you. I'm really looking forward to participate and to be on the stadium in Paris, especially going there to defend my title over the 1500 and make history. In 2008, Nancy Chebet-Lagat won a gold medal in Beijing. She's from my village called Keringet. She was welcomed home with her friends, Pamela Chelimo, with many other athletes. So my teacher told us, there's celebration. There is one athlete who is going to be celebrated around here. She's from around this area. And I want these small athletes, young girls, to go and see what is happening there. So, you know, many people were there. And Faith also was there, but nobody knew. I was just a young girl out there with school uniform. Nobody knows one day, one time I will be Olympic champion or world champion.
In fact, imekuja kama surprise kwangu kwamba alikuwa kwa my celebration after I won the Olympic gold. I think hiyo ilimpatia motisha pia. Ndio akakuja akafanya bidii ama akaona you can make it.
Like most Kenyan athletes, Kipyegon's athletic career started organically in Keringet, Nakuru County, to the amazement of her elder sister, Beatrice Mutai, who hosted her so that she could live near a youth training camp.
Hiyo competition ya primary sasa ikaanza. Akaniambia, unajua hata mimi nasikia kukimbia. Akaniambia, mimi naona kama nitakimbia, wacha niende nijaribu hii ya shule. Nikamwambia wacha mchezo. Akaniambia bana, hii si mchezo, nitaenda kujaribu. Yani namwambia tu wewe enda, lakini sijaamini sana kama anaweza. Lakini vile anaenda anakuja ananiambia nimeselectiwa na mimi naona kweli anaenda, nikaamini.
I have seen the evolution of an athlete who has come from being a little girl who just liked to run, even at that young age, that she knew what she wanted.
I think the first prize I got was from Safaricom in Dallas cross country. I was still young. It was really beautiful, you know. They normally say a journey begins with a step.
You look at Faith Kipyegon as a youngster. Faith Kipyegon went through the phases. She has youth gold, she has a junior gold, and not just on track and cross country. This is something we don't often see a lot, because a lot of athletes will maybe try the cross country, it's very intense, very difficult, and then quickly move to the track and then move on. But Faith stuck to both surfaces and she excelled in both surfaces.
Nancy and Kipyegon are the only 2 Kenyan women who have won the 1,500 meters Olympic gold titles. On the other hand, Vivian Cheruiyot is the only Kenyan woman who has won an Olympic title in a distance longer than the 1,500 meters on the track, an achievement that Kipyegon is dreaming of ahead of Paris.
Somebody who inspires me in athletics is my role model, Vivian Cheruiyot. When I was young, I used to see Vivian running, and I was like, one day, one time, I want to be like Vivian. I was lucky to meet Vivian in 2011, Punda Umbria World Cross Country. She really taught me a lot.
I can describe Faith as a superhuman, and also she's a disciplined girl. She's focused, and also she's someone who is doing her work right. She's somebody who is in love with sports, in athletics.
When you have an athlete that you aspire to be like, not only does it motivate you to do well, but it also pushes you to try and better them.
Faith had an outstanding season last year, breaking 3 world records in the 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters races and the mile run before crowning it with a world championship title.
It's not easy, you know, everything what you do. Sometimes you are very tired and you are like, today it's like I'm gonna give up. I don't want to wake up. You have to dream big to wake up, and knowing that many people expect good results from you tomorrow, so you have to keep pushing yourself towards tomorrow. ana focus kabisa na anasema mnajua zaidi naangalia Olympics juu najua nataka ni double 5000 na 15 na mimi nataka gold kwa hizo zote mbili.
She's capable to go and double it, and she's capable to come up with 2 medals in Paris. The program for 1500 and 5000, it doesn't have that different magic. So already she has the speed for 1500. The 5000, it doesn't need a lot of speed. She knows how to manage, and the coach knows how to manage. So I don't have any doubt in Faith.
Like Vivian, Faith took a break from her career to start a family and has become an inspiration to many female athletes.
I think there's a lot of sacrifices I had to make to be where I am now as especially world record holder, and especially as a mom now, you know. From Monday to Saturday, I only stay with my daughter on the Sundays, and Mondays in the evening I just go to camp. My husband has been a big supporting system for me. He really understands what I do. He was an athlete himself, bronze medal in 800 in 2012 Olympics. Knowing that I want to influence many in my country and outside my country to get to where you want to be and what you want to get.
Faith has inspired so many people. I remember when she ran in 2019 and marks on her body that were exposed because of coming from where she came from, maternity. A certain lady doctor wrote in one of the dailies that we are proud of those marks because it has sent a message to every mother that has given birth that those marks are marks to be proud of. To me, she's a trailblazer. So, you know, pathfinders in another way. Somebody who is not afraid to venture into new territory, explore the unknown and give it all.
I not only change as an athlete, but as well I change as a person to realize that, you know, besides what I do in athletics, I am also a human being and I have to grow as a human being as well.
With the support of her nation, Faith Kipyegon will solidify her legacy as one of the greatest middle-distance runners of her generation. But will she make history by defending her title and winning her 3rd Olympic gold?
For me, I don't have any doubt in Faith because Faith, she's well prepared.
Especially going there to defend my title over the 1500 and make history. It will be a motivation to the young generation.
When you speak to Faith Kipyegon's coaches, when you speak to Faith Kipyegon's physio, they talk about an athlete who goes beyond the threshold, the limits of pain. I don't think people appreciate how painful it is sometimes to train as an athlete. And when you talk to Faith's team, they tell you Faith trains as hard as any other man.
You're training very hard, and sometimes you get set back in terms of small injuries here and there. So far, she's on course, and I think, you know, from the trials going towards Olympics, I think we'll see the same Faith that we saw last year.
I know Faith is a great athlete, and during the Paris Olympics, Faith is equal to the task.
When Faith Kipyegon began her season, she came with the fastest time on African soil in the 1500 meters. She came with a statement. It was a statement of intent. In the 5,000 meters, you get the sense that between Beatrice Chebet and Gudaf Segai, who broke the world record that Faith had broken, these are the two athletes that look like could give Faith some competition in the 5,000 meters.
I normally focus myself and believe the training I've done and just go to that track, believing in myself and show my fans what I'm capable of doing. I normally get nervous, you know, especially going to the championship whereby you are 40 million people watching you back at home and praying that you bring a gold medal back home. So for me, it's a little bit of pressure, but sometimes pressure gives you energy to represent your country well.
Kikohozi cha muda wowote, kutokwa na jasho kwa wingi usiku, uchungu kwenye kifua, afya kudhoofika, tafuta matibabu. Labda ni TB, TB ni ugonjwa wa kweli, ukipimwa matibabu yapo utapona. TB waishi poa.
Kuna mbomu 15,000. Nachukua mbomu. Zinakwenda. Nahitaji diaper.
Kimeumana.
39. 40,000 shillings. Namba 3. King Kong. Na 50,000 Kenya shillings.
Grand, mega.
Right, on Sporting today we have a very interesting setup. One thing is that Wakabi, it's about learning. We're going to class because you can imagine it's 18 days to the Olympic Games, and it's very important for the competing sportsmen and women to ensure that they are running clean. And Wakabi, I have a representative of ADAC, Mr. Kennedy Mwai. He's an education officer. Kennedy Mwai, I'm an athlete. I want to go to the Olympics. You're here with me for testing. What should I do?
Good. Bernard, if you're ready for us to be able to pick your sample, just let me know. Are you ready for the sample?
Yes, I'm ready for my sample.
So please pick one of the vessels that is here,
okay,
so that we go to the washrooms, because I have to watch you as you pee into this cup.
Interesting. Wakabi, for the first time in my life, somebody will be accompanying me.
You're going to have a witness.
I have to have a witness.
An audience.
Yes. It's called the cloakroom.
Yes.
So it'll be 2 in 1.
Hey, Bernard, your English teacher must be proud. The cloakroom, you said.
Let me go and do that.
Yes, that fantastic. And as Bernard does that, remember tonight on Spot On, what we are doing is that we want to demystify what happens during a doping test. What is it that an athlete goes through? What's the procedure like? Those are some of the things we want to try and figure out tonight. And as Bernard and Mr. Mwai get ready, let's just remind you of our question of the day. Tonight, the question we've been talking about, the question we've asked the whole of today is, do you think Kenya is winning the fight against doping? Do you think that Kenya is winning the fight against doping? Of course, we've been in the news for all the wrong reasons over the past few years, all the way back to 2016, category A doping. And the question we are asking is, do you think that Kenya is winning the fight? As always, the hashtag is spot on, Ajay Wakabi, at Banandong, at NTV Kenya. That just helps us track your comments and your thoughts and your answers as to what's happening. So please do keep talking to us as we inch ever closer to the Olympics. Now, Bernard, I am sure you should be back and you guys can take us through. So what happens once you are back from the cloakroom?
Right. So I'm back from the cloakroom, quote unquote. So I have the sample here. So tell me, first of all, I hope I'm handling it correctly.
Yes, you're handling it correctly because you've already washed your hands.
Yes.
And you did not use soap when you're doing washing your hands. So up to this point, we are doing well.
You're not supposed to use soap?
You're not supposed to use soap at all.
So a jam for like me, because I'm a clean freak, so I'm very keen about washing my hands.
Yes. You just use running water and don't use a towel, don't use paper towel. Let your hands dry off so that now you can be able to handle your sample.
So I guess that's the first thing we've learned. That so you cannot use soap, you cannot wipe your hands with a towel or with the serviette or with tissue. You have got to air dry them.
Yes.
So when he comes back with the sample,
yes.
Who carries it? Who locks it?
This sample is held by the athlete at all times, as he's already doing it. You can see I'm not even coming close to it.
Why is that?
Because it is your sample and you have to guard it, and it is your requirement that you maintain the custody of your sample. It is the responsibility of you as an athlete to ensure that you maintain the custody until the moment when we will seal it and have it ready for shipment.
Just for clarity, when we're in the cloakroom,
yes.
You have to be standing next to me, observing me doing my private business.
Yes. But because that is the only way, because I'll be able to sign that this is your sample, and now I can confidently say that it is your sample because you dropped your panties all the way to the knee level, you rolled up your shirts, and now I was able to see where the sample was coming from, and therefore I have 100% surety that it is your sample.
Before Okabi asks, of course there's a question of modesty as well, because you can imagine you're with somebody, a stranger, with you in a private room while you're doing your business, but I understand it's because it's important, but how do you ensure modesty to some extent?
Bernard, there is no modesty. Can he tell you what he's just said, how you've got
I've understood. I was hoping you'd say it in a diplomatic way.
No! It's straightforward. Actually, I am so intrigued with what he said. So not only do you have to pee on the bottle, he's got to see your trousers have to go down to your knees. That's
yes.
It's got to go down to your knees, and your t-shirt has going to go up to right underneath your lungs, or right above your diaphragm. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is no debate. That modesty story is done.
So no modesty.
No. I think there is a bigger goal.
Okay. So once I've provided the sample that is going to be tested by ADAC, what is the next step?
So thank you. Now that you come back here, you'll find 3 kits provided or more. One of the things you have to do is that you have to choose one.
Okay.
So here they are. Pick the one that...
I can't touch it. I can just point at it?
No, you can touch. You can touch.
I've picked this sample here.
Yes, once you take
Testing rather.
Yes, that is the kit that you want. Check for its integrity. Is it torn? Is it tampered with?
It looks okay to me.
Is it look okay?
It's not been,
You're okay with it?
There's a sign that says here, tear to open, so it means the integrity has not been compromised.
Okay. Have you checked whether it is expired or not?
So I'm checking the expiry date. I can see here expiry date is 31st/12/2026.
Very good.
Yes.
What else? Do you see any code on that kit?
There's a code. There's I think a barcode. And then
there's also a number that is 13.
Yes, there's a number as well. There's a QR code as well. There's a 1312 you can see there. 13. Sorry, this one. There we go. You can see it there. There is the number.
Yes. Now that is the code for your kit. So retain that kit because that is the one you're going to use. Now tear it open.
So I tear it open?
Yes.
I feel so nervous, and I'm not even a competing athlete, Okabi.
It depends with what you've been doing.
Yeah, I'm a good man, man. I'm a good man. So
just open. It's on. Use this side.
I use this side?
Yes.
Okay. So it's...
Yes, place it down.
I place it down that way? I feel so nervous. Why do I feel like I'm competing in a competition?
No, it's an easy thing. You'll be able to go through it.
Because for starters, you had audience.
Yeah. Okay. So I open it.
Yes. What do you find inside? There are two bottles.
So there are 2 bottles.
What's the color?
So they are translucent. Each one is blue, one is red.
Good.
So I remove this.
So pull. There's a lid there. Just pull it up.
I pull this up. Actually, it has instructions.
Yes.
So for me, I'm a class. I don't want to have my sample flying all over the table.
So just grab it. Yes.
That way.
Just pick that, the blue one.
The blue one.
Yes.
Let me pick the blue one. I don't want
the blue one.
There we go.
So check whether the number on that
corresponds
with the red one.
Yes, it corresponds.
Very good. Does it also correspond with what is on the kit?
Yes, it corresponds with what is on the kit.
Very good. So also take out the other bottle. Just place them here.
Place it here.
Yes. So we are going to split your sample into 2.
So
that is to A and B.
Okay.
So we'll start with B, and I want you to pour 30 ml because you have provided more than
So
enough.
I can close this?
Yes, just put it the side there.
Okay.
So take your sample.
What do you mean I've provided more than enough?
Yes, the minimum is 90, and I can see you have provided more than enough.
Okay. So there is a minimum amount you have one has to produce.
Yes. I mean,
what happens if an athlete can't produce 90 ml?
Yes, it does happen, and we call that a partial sample, and we will have to seal it as per the standards and the instructions that we have, and then we'll give the athlete some time to recover and even maybe get some hydration, and when they are ready, we'll come back, pick another vessel, go and provide the sample.
So this one is discarded and then you get another?
No,
Okay,
it's not discarded.
Okay.
We'll still use it because we'll add it together with the other ones so that we get our minimum.
Okay.
Yes.
So I put in 30 ml.
30 ml.
So I open?
So no, don't
Okay,
open.
okay.
There is a pot on that vessel, if you look at it.
A pot, yes. I've seen
Yes,
it.
so kindly, and
this-
then there is a marker.
There we go.
If
There's
you
a pot
can
there.
see it.
Yeah.
There is a marker
Okay.
showing you how far.
So I just pour
Just
it.
pour.
Okay.
Up to 30 ml. Confirm that it is 30.
Is this open? I don't
Not
think
yet. Just twist it until you get that pot open. Just twist. There.
Okay. Yeah.
Very good.
It latched perfectly. So I pour until it reaches.
That there is a marker. Slowly. There is a marker.
Okay.
Keep watching it. Go up.
Yeah. 30 ml.
30 ml.
So there
Very
we go. 30 ml. That is a sample. 30 ml.
That's B.
Okay. This
Then
one.
pour 60 on the A.
So this is all. This was the A.
There is a marker. Yes.
Okay. So 60.
Yes.
Excuse me.
So why does the A have 60 and the B has 30?
The A will be analyzed, and the B will be stored.
Just stored.
Yes. And also the athlete may contest the result
Yes.
of sample A.
Yes.
And they may request that the B sample be analyzed.
So I just wondered why the amounts are different, but I'm assuming it's because B is for storage, A is for the one you're analyzing,
Yes.
B is just to check in case I disagree with what you guys found in A.
Sure.
Okay.
And because we have some extra urine, we'll not pour it out, so we have to top up with on the B. So pour the remaining one up to B, up to this mark here, the maximum filling mark.
Why not do that the first time?
No, because we still wanted first to get to the 60 first.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, because I started with the B one.
Yes.
So we've topped it up.
Very good.
There we
I'm
go.
sure you've yes. Continue.
Everything.
I just need a little of it. Yes, that is enough.
So what if it's a lot?
If it's a lot.
Is he allowed to throw it away or what happens?
No. You remember now. We also have some more space on A. So if we still had some more, we would have put back in A.
So basically, if I give you a sample, you guys take the whole sample.
Yes.
So why not go with this?
No, because you've got to divide them.
Okay.
What I'm wondering is, so if I give you a sample, you guys can't give me that part ile imebaki niende nayo. Lazima yote ni yenyu.
Yes.
That's actually the thing I'm wondering. Like, so if I give you a sample, I can't, siwezi baki nisema hii ni kidogo hii ni mingi.
No. And there's a good thing he has said. Why can't we use this to go with it? One, this transportation of the sample to the lab has to be done using a tamper evident kit, and that is what we are going to do right now. So what you want, you go back to your kit. I want the caps for this.
Kifuniko.
Kifuniko.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go. The ones that. So that's, and I understand why your hands have to be clean.
Yes.
Okay.
And always ensure you don't touch on the inside.
Okay.
So lock that your sample.
So
and remember, he's doing it on his own as the athlete. There's nowhere.
there.
Tighten it. Further.
Oh, it has to.
Further. Yes, until
So
that clicks.
Oh, you had the click, so there's a click there.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Do the same to B, to A.
Okay. So this is a color coded. This is how
Yes,
it is. Yeah.
yes.
Red is A and then blue is B.
Yes. So again.
There.
Very good.
Okay.
Now I want you to put them upside down, just to check whether there's spillage or anything. No, just turn them upside down.
I've turned them upside down. Let me remove this so that you're able to see. That is the B sample. This is the A sample.
Good.
Okay.
Is there any spillage?
None.
Okay.
No spillage.
Turn them upside down again now. Try to open. Confirm that
it's tight. It's
very tight.
snug.
Very good.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm going to ask you a few more questions.
Okay.
As
we'll
I
just go
complete
quickly so that
very So have you taken any medication in the last 7 days?
No.
Any supplements in the last 7
None.
days? So kindly confirm to me that this is all the information that is already recorded
so
there.
So this is a checklist that every athlete is given?
This is the doping control form that captures everything about you.
Okay.
And I want you to sign for me here that you've confirmed that every detail that is already here is what we have captured here.
Okay.
So kindly sign for me this.
What I can tell you for free so that people understand, this is not actual. The true sample, this is a...
Bernard, why are you giving us clarifications?
Very good.
I've got a question. Is it possible to open the sample once you've clicked? Is it possible to open it?
Have you tried to open it?
Yes, I tried to open it.
Did it open?
No.
It's not possible.
So once it clicks shut,
yes,
no one else can open it until you get to the lab?
Yes. And even in the lab, they won't use their hands to open it. They have to use my machines to break it. That's how secure your sample is. Nobody can tamper with it.
Interesting. So what is the next final step, I must
say? So the next final step is to put this kit now back.
So we put it with...
Yes, just take it back.
Okay.
We can now I can handle it because it's already
sealed.
Well sealed. And
then wash your hands as well?
Yes, yes. And then now we'll go and finish on documentation. He has already signed the form. This is my copy.
Okay. So it's in triplicate or how
4
many?
copies.
Okay.
Yes. And this is your copy.
This is my copy.
As an athlete, the one you have signed.
Okay. So this is my copy.
And then now I have 2 copies that will go to the lab.
Okay.
And I want you to see the information that is on your top part, the athlete information. Is it visible here?
No, it's not visible.
So it's not visible. So that means that the people in the lab will not be able to know that this is Bernard's sample.
Okay. So
they'll just receive a sample, they will see the code, analyze, and give us back that information. So no way that people who are in the lab will be able to know that this sample belongs to ABCD or whichever athlete. So these ones is what will accompany the sample to the lab.
Okay. Interesting.
It's absolutely fascinating. Some of the things I've learned is fascinating, and we wanted to demystify what happens with the testing. And Dr. Martin, I'll come to you as we leave Bernard and company just to be able to, Bernard to breathe out. He hasn't breathed out since we started. He's nervous and he doesn't even use supplements. How important is it for the athletes to be able to understand that whole procedure?
Yeah, it is very important for the athletes to understand that procedure. First of all, to understand that the sample collection process is a process that ensures that we take the sample from the athlete's body and to ensure that we test the sample to check if the athlete is clean. And basically the purpose is to ensure that we are protecting the fundamental right of that athlete so that that athlete can be able to participate in a doping-free environment, which is a right. The athlete has a right to participate in doping-free environment. And therefore this is just a process to gain confidence to the other competitors that the athlete is actually clean and the competition is actually fair.
So that's from Dr. Martin. They're explaining exactly why that happens. Once again, I remind you a question of the day. Are we winning? Is Kenya winning the fight against doping? That's our question of the day. And please do keep talking to us because this topic is really, really important, because when we get near to an Olympics, it becomes a big deal. And that's why Dr. Martin is explaining about the rights of an athlete and what an athlete means. Dr. Martin, when you sit back and look at this journey and the way testing is going on, how much education do you have to give athletes for them to understand those steps? Because you could see Bernard having to make sure he's keen on watching everything. This is a continuous educational process.
Yes, it's a continuous educational process, and basically what we say is that the first experience that any athlete needs to encounter any anti-doping program should be through education rather than the doping control, the testing process. Because the athlete needs to understand the process that the athlete is going to go through before he or she is subjected to testing. Because the process of testing, sometimes we need to understand that it's your sample being taken and your sample is going to the laboratory for analysis. Just the way you go to hospital and you are sick and you don't know which kind of sickness, it causes a lot of anxiety, and therefore for purposes of ensuring that we gain confidentiality of the athlete needs to understand the whole process step by step before they go into the testing itself.
Like we saw there, it's very involving. Like it's basically one athlete and one attendant, for the lack of a better word. That means your workforce as ADAC has got to be big.
Yes.
You guys have got to invest a lot just in human resource.
Yes.
How big is your team that is able to, like at the trials, for example? Yes. I was at the World Under-20 last week and I could see they were already there. So at the national trials, for example, how big is your team?
The doping control station is manned by several doping control officers and chaperones. The chaperone is the one who normally follows the athlete to ensure that the athlete is under observation all the time, from the time the athlete is notified. In an event like the last event of Under-20, we had about 15 doping control officers and about also 15 chaperones. So a doping control officer has to be accompanied by a chaperone. Yeah.
How do you select who you are going to test? Maybe you're not allowed to tell me, but how do you guys decide? Yeah. Let's take Bernard and not Wakabi.
Yeah. There are three procedures which we look into, factors that we consider when we are selecting the one that we are supposed to test. One, we can do target testing based on the intelligence that we have, based on the analysis of your performance, and based on our own conviction that probably maybe there can be some possibility of you having doped. No, we are not saying that you must have doped, just to ensure that you are clean. The second one is random testing, especially probably for team sport. We can go and do a random test, just choose an athlete within the team and test. And the third one is a position finish. For example, in athletics, we can decide to choose position 1, 2, 3, or sometimes we can decide to choose position 10. And the reason as to why probably we can go and choose position 10 or the last person, we sometimes study the performance of these athletes. Sometimes we can find that an athlete is performing very well, but in that particular championship, the athlete stays back, and we wonder why is the athlete staying back. So we analyze before we go ahead and select the athlete to go through the doping control process.
Bernard, before you come back to being journalist, how was that experience, like from you, because you've never done it before? Mm-hmm. How was it from you as the, I won't say victim, but as the I don't know what you call the person, as the person who's having to do the doping test? How is it? How much does it invade your personal space? How much did you feel like this is a lot?
I think the first key thing is the fact that you have somebody with you in the washroom while you're doing your business. I think that's
and they need you half naked, literally.
Yes. So I think that's why I kept insisting on the aspect of modesty and privacy. But I think it's understandable because of the nature of what an athlete does. But maybe I'd want Mwai to just bring him into the conversation. Mwai, as Dr. has mentioned, you select randomly.
Yes.
So what are the next steps immediately after you've maybe identified number 9 in an athletic, maybe in the whatever race, race X?
Mm-hmm. So one is now we'll have the chaperone who will go to notify the athlete. Mm-hmm. And one thing is that they have now to identify who is this athlete who finished number 9. And once they identify them, they also have to get another way of identifying them. They must get either ID or their passport, so that if I'm saying this is Bernard, I have evidence showing that this is Bernard. And if Bernard is a minor, doesn't have the documentations, we may have to look for the coach who can be able to say, indeed, this is Bernard. So that is the first step, identifying the athlete and then notifying them that they have been selected for sample collection and informing them on which sample they are going to provide. So if it's urine, they'll be told you're going for your urine. And then they'll be told of their rights, because an athlete has rights during the sample collection. For example, if Bernard is still going on with the race, we could say, okay, let's him finish. It was just the hits. Can he go back and do the finals? Or maybe he has an injury and he has to be attended. He doesn't have to report immediately. So he can be given a room for delay. Mm-hmm. And even when they're doing the media interviews, they are allowed to do that, to do the media before they go to the doping control station. So there are those rights that they have. And they also now have responsibilities. And one of it is that they have to maintain the custody of the sample, what you are doing. And they also have to provide that identification that I've said. That is their responsibility. And also to comply the whole procedure of what they will be taken through.
let me understand. Okay, fine, you've identified athlete X, and then, like, this is a major championship, for example, like the trials.
Yes.
So does it mean, like, I'm trying to understand the logistics, because this is just Bernard. I had two, is it, what do you call them?
Vials.
Vials.
You can call them
two
vials,
vials.
yeah.
So I'm sure when there's a championship, you also do your logistics.
Yes.
So, like, do you determine, like, we need to have X number of...
Yes. Yes. Remember how you did the choice? You have a minimum of 3 of everything, so that you can pick from there. So you can see now, if you're going for 100 tests, you can see the kind of logistics that we have.
It's like 30 athletes.
Yes. So we have to have more of this. And remember, there are times you could even have one that maybe doesn't function nicely. So you must get prepared.
So like for the trials, on average, like what are you working? What are the numbers? I want to understand, like, how many testing kits must you have? Minimum.
I would say if it is 30 athletes, multiply that by 3. Multiply just that by 3. That you'll be covered. You'll be covered.
So maybe because, like Dr. Martin said, at the World Junior Under-20 trials, I was there, and that actually happened. I was interviewing Sarah Mora, and the anti-doping lady said, no, it's okay, you go on, you finish, take your time. Once you're done with your interview, then I can take her. And I thought, because I actually apologized, said no. We are allowed for them to do it. And then, so I remember thinking, oh, that's interesting, because he said they had 15 chaperones, 15 doping control. So that means they had 15 targets for the day. That means 45 kits, or maybe 50, because you have to have a few. So the operation must be ridiculously big. And how do you decide between urine and blood? When do you guys choose? When?
Yeah, it depends with the kind of analysis that is going to be undertaken. For urine, there are certain analysis parameters that are normally undertaken for urine. Then blood, mostly we do what we call at least biological passport, where now the components of blood are analyzed, and probably a passport is built based on the kinds of samples, or the number of samples that have been taken from the athlete. So basically, based also on the risk assessment that has been undertaken, just to understand the type of sport, the intensity which the athlete puts in the sport, the physiology of the body, for us to be able to understand which kind of analysis that needs to be undertaken, and also from advice from the experts from the laboratory. Sometimes they look at some samples from certain athletes, and they advise that please take urine and let us analyze these kinds of components within their blood samples to find out if there are any prohibited substances in it.
So that one is not as random as the urine one. That one has a bit more, shall I say, direction? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
There's a bit more direction.
It has a bit
like
more direction.
You can't, because you see urine, like you said, you're basically saying, where's number 10? Come, let's go. But when it's blood, you see now, I think it's, because I'm assuming blood goes through the same thing, yes, but it's slightly different, because blood is a bit more complicated.
Yes, it's because of extraction of
yes.
it. And now we'll have a BCO, a blood collection officer, will be able now to extract the blood. Now that has no privacy, because it's just the arm, and we can be able to get the venous blood. And but now the kitting is almost the same, because the whole procedure of even the tamper evident kind of kitting is almost the same. But it's at the point of extraction, it's not as intrusive as urine.
Now for blood, like we had there, it was 60 millimeters, I think, for the A sample, 30 millimeters for the B sample. So for blood, are there specific measurements as well?
Yes, there are. So there is the ABP, we can take the 3 ml, just 3 ml. And then we also take 2 vials of 5 ml, that is 10 total. And we cannot take both at the same time. So that kind of measurement is already there, and it's given. That is what the minimums that we take. And that vacutainer can only take that. Yeah.
Interesting.
The reason I'm curious about the blood, guys, is because we've had 2 cases in the recent days where Kenyans have been caught with ABP. And one of the cases went back all the way to when the athlete was a junior. And I wondered, do you target those specific ones? Is it a collaboration between AIU and ADAC? Or how do you guys figure out, okay, this enough with the urine, let's go with the blood. Or let's concentrate more on the blood. Or let's have, we had an athlete and she told us she had to do both on the same day.
Yes, basically for blood, there are these athletes who are in what we call the registered testing pool. Once you've been placed in the registered testing pool, you are supposed to declare your whereabouts, and basically then you will be a candidate for both blood and urine. And basically for blood, it's normally used for ABP, where they take the baseline level of your blood. They analyze your blood components at the baseline level. Then from there, we will take other samples of blood, maybe with time, and then analyze and look at your components who are at this level.
Yes.
When we took the 5th sample, what are your components? And we were able to draw the curve and find out, is there any exponential growth of your sample? Is the curve spiking so high? Probably then that could be an indication that one might be doping, especially those who do what we call microdosing. Yeah.
What is microdosing?
Microdosing is basically introduction of very minimum components of substances which cannot be detected to the threshold where you can actually say somebody is doping. But when they are introduced minimally in the body is able to acclimatize and adapt to it to the level where now the body can have an advantage, which we can call now a performance enhancing. Yeah.
Daktari,
yeah.
When you mention that point specifically, it feels complicated, it feels very intentional, and the conversation in previous years in regards to Kenyan doping has been that it is very unstructured, there's no plan, but that feels like it has evolved. It feels like there's a level of foresight, there's a level of planning.
Yes. Basically, there is some kind of also level of planning in that nature. But previously, the observations that have been done in the country during the 2018 when WADA did a survey in the country, it described doping for Kenya as optimistic and individualistic. That means it wasn't organized and it wasn't institutionalized. So basically, it could just be a few maybe medical practitioners who are unscrupulous and they will want to get away from the system, and they will want to introduce these substances to the level where they cannot be detected at the point of analysis. And that's why WADA came up with this formula of ABP, where now we can be able to develop the passport of any athlete's blood component and be able to actually to ascertain that this athlete could be doping at some point or another. And basically that also gives an indication and gives intelligence to us as the agency, so that then probably then we can target test as one of the selection criteria. We can target test at certain times so that then we can be able to understand whether this athlete is doping or not.
So it evolved?
It evolved,
Why,
yes.
why do you think that happened? Is it a cabal? Is there like...
It's the people get cleverer.
Yeah,
the more you get closer, people get cleverer. Anyway, I'm answering you. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, and that's why there are new detection methods, there are new research. Of course, there are anti-doping and the pro-dopers. Yeah. Those who want to use this as a means of survival, as a means of giving the athletes an advantage over others, then they can get the accolades that they don't deserve. And those are the guys whom we are now chasing by making sure that we are ahead of the game in terms of detection methods in the laboratories.
Before Wakabi asks this question, you know, the thing is, Kenyans have been seeing every other week, every weekend. It's usually standard, like on a Friday, you see on the AIU page, athlete X, athlete Y. So is it that some would say it's increasing, or is it that the dragnet to grab them has widened?
Yes, the dragnet has exponentially widened. I think since government made a commitment and committed resources to it, and then we took a collaborative approach, multi-sectoral approach, where now AIU, ADAC, and Athletes Kenya, we came together and started now fighting the menace and deployed all the resources available. We were able now to test as many athletes as possible. Since the program started July last year up to now, 1 year we have been able to take 4,135 samples from our athletes. And of course, once you widen the net, and then the possibility or probability of now getting more athletes to who have doped.
So this in the past year, 4,135?
4,135, yes. Yeah.
When Bernard and I have seen a pattern. There's one drug all Kenyans like, most of them, triamcinolone. Like, you know, triamcinolone. Then there's the other one which I can't pronounce, that one. Norandoresterone.
Yes.
So when you guys see something like that, does it direct you? Does it almost tell you, guys, maybe almost every when you analyze and you see those, every second athlete has triamcinolone, has that one Bernard has said.
Yeah.
How does that impact how you guys are testing?
It impacts how we are testing. At the same time, it impacts on how we educate our athletes. And basically, we go back and find out why are these athletes using norandosterone, which is a steroid.
Yes.
And basically, a steroid is for muscle development. And we find that athletes who want their muscles to develop, to recover more quickly because of the intense training that they undergo, and probably sometimes the commitment, and sometimes they are lazy, they will not want to follow the schedules that they have been given, and sometimes the competition is too high, and they will want now to use these substances for the muscles that wear quickly, so that then they can recover. And one of the ways now we educate the athletes is to observe their nutritional components, because that and probably also to observe the proper techniques of training, so that then probably they can prevent injury. They can also encourage muscle recovery, and they spend some time so that then the body can adapt itself to training. But also it gives us the trend, so that then when we tell the laboratory, we focus more on testing these kinds of samples, so that then it can help us to nab as many athletes who might be going that direction as much as possible.
Is it odd that some of the drugs Kenyans are using now, people are using them in Tour de France in 2012 and 2011? What does that say about our doping?
Basically, it's current, because they are using prohibited substances which have been included in the current prohibited list, which is a standard. Because every year the World Anti-Doping Agency produces an annual prohibited list, which is published in October and starts being in effective 1st of January of the following year. And we could see that some of these athletes who are doping, they are using substances that might have been included within that particular year, and therefore they might be current, and those ones who might be doping them or administering these substances understand the use of these substances at that particular time.
There's another one Kenyans have become famous for in recent past. It's called whereabouts failure.
Yes.
Whereabouts.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Whereabouts failures, as I said earlier, this affects athletes who are in the registered testing pool, and these athletes are supposed to be tested at any time without being given notice, and therefore they are supposed to give accurate information on where they are supposed to be, where they are training, where their overnight accommodation is, and within 24 hours they're supposed to give a 1 hour window, 1 hour slot, where they will be available in case our doping control officers keep knocking, requesting a sample from them. We have had situations where athletes, they don't give the accurate information on where they're supposed to be, and therefore they are charged with what we call filing failures. Sometimes within that 1 hour window where they're supposed to be available, our doping control officers come to the place where they have described that they will be, and they don't find them. So they record what we call a missed test. Now we find that when within a period of 12 months, if you record 3 whereabouts anti-doping rule violation, probably maybe 3 missed tests or 1 missed test and 2 filing failures, that can be recorded as an anti-doping rule violation, which is described actually as doping. And that's why we encourage our athletes to make sure that they always give accurate information for purposes of doping control.
Why? Yes. My testing was at 9:57, thereabouts. So yes. Just let's work back. Mm-hmm. So I'm supposed to be tested?
Yes.
How does it work ideally? If now you're coming, we agreed at 9:57.
So I'll go to the Adams account and check Bernard. And
what is Adams?
Adams is the system where now they provide this information. Mm-hmm. The one we have talked about.
So I should have access to it?
You have access to it because you have an account, mm-hmm. and you can access it even using your phone because there is an app to it. That is the Athlete Central app. So we are able to see your time slot. We are able to know that so-and-so or this athlete, their time slot is from 20 to 21, that is 1 hour. So within that time, we'll try and come and knock at your door, and we'll try all the means possible to be able to trace you and locate you. We'll knock, we'll check, we'll ask a few people, have you seen Bernard around here, to ensure that we have been able to get you. So if we manage to get you within your time slot, even if it is 20:59, you're still within your time slot. But if we are not able to locate you within your 60 minutes, for example, we locate you 5 minutes past your time, we'll still collect your sample, but still you'll get a mistake because we took your sample past your time slot. So that is why we are the athletes at all, try as much as possible to pick a time that is very accommodative to you.
Why is that? Why are you so stringent on that?
Because the athlete is the one who's giving us this time, and we have allowed them opportunity to choose. And remember, we have said there's a lot of logistics in terms of planning for testing. So if I'm going to test for Bernard, I need to know where is he. And I'll check early enough to know, oh, he's already at this particular place, and I know when I go there, I'll be able to get him because that is the time that is convenient, and that is the time he has already set. And the beauty about it is that if the athlete feels that they are not able to be available at that time, before the start of that time slot, they can adjust it. For example, if you're running late, you get stuck in jam or whatever, you can go back to your phone and adjust it. And we are also able to see it and say, oh, this is not his time. He has already moved it ahead. So, and then there will be no repercussions.
So what is the time? Like from what time is the earliest you can do the test, and what is the latest?
So the earliest is 5 a.m. in the morning. That is, they can pick that from 5 and all the way to 11 p.m. That is 23:00. So between that period, let the athlete take a time that is very, very convenient for them.
How much leeway do I have before I change my time? So Bernard, we did it at 9:57.
Yes.
Can he change his time at 8:57, or what's the gap that he's allowed to change?
So just before the start of the hour, he can change. But the moment he clocks 7:01, or that is it, it's already, he can't change it. But slightly before that time, they're allowed to. However, we discourage a lot from the last minute changes because it's also communicating to us. Why is he changing at the last minute? Yes, so but they are allowed to be able to change up to that moment, the last minute of it. But before that, after that, they cannot change.
What if the tester doesn't come in the allocated hour? What happens in that case? Because the athlete gets punished if they're not there.
Yes.
What if the tester is not able to come in between 9 and 10 p.m. for Bernard, for example?
Yes, the requirement is that the athlete can be tested at any time. Okay? And we are saying this 1 hour is for that convenience for the athlete. They can go wherever else they want to go, but at least we're asking them, give us 1 hour. So we're asking the athlete, for us to be able to do this out of competition testing, give us this 1 hour. I may come, I may not come. And you can see now we have...
so you may, you may or may not come because it's random.
Yes.
So if, and that this life is hard, Bernard. If you don't come, then me, I'm okay.
Yes.
But if you come and I'm not there, then I'm in trouble.
There's a problem.
Bernard, you see,
Yes.
Because I've heard athletes say that it's hard. I've listened to both Kenyan athletes and international athletes say that, you know what, the drug testing is hard. Like people think it's, let's go. It's hard because you have to have the sample. You have to be there at the particular point. They may not come. It's hard, Bernard.
So, Daktari, once the sample has been taken, then what's the next steps? Where does it go? Like the sample that Mr. Mwai took?
Yeah, like the sample that Mr. Mwai took, it was in your custody. Then you hand it over to Mwai, who is a doping control officer. They will now transport it to the laboratory through a particular chain of custody to the transporting agent, who will now deliver the sample to the laboratory. There will be an officer at the laboratory, and the laboratory has to be a WADA accredited laboratory. The officer will pick the sample, and now it will proceed to analysis using probably different agents and machines within the laboratory. Then the results now will be communicated to the testing authority, which in this case now it's ADAC. Yes.
So once ADAC has been informed about my sample,
yes.
So if there's any adverse finding,
yes,
that's when now,
yes,
that's when now you
if it's an advised analytical finding, then we communicate to the athlete that the sample that we took on this date with this sample code number has an analytical finding, and then we seek an explanation from the athlete, probably just to be able to understand where the substance will have.
And so this communication, it happens in different forms. Is it email, phone, and is there a justification for using one specific medium? Yeah,
the notification is through a letter. We write a notification letter to the athlete that is signed.
Hard copy.
A hard copy to the CEO, through the CEO signs the hard copy. Then we take it personally to the athlete, and the athlete has to sign to show that the athlete has received the notification. Yes. Then we
it's not an email. There's all these legends that it's an email that comes. It's in red and it's.
Yeah, and sometimes we communicate through email. But in most circumstances, our athletes sometimes checking emails is difficult because
so
once
do you see yourself just to ensure it reaches you?
So once the communication reaches the athlete, there has to be evidence that this communication has reached the athlete, and we give the athletes 20 days to be able to give us an explanation as to why, probably establish where the sample, the prohibited substances might have come from, in the body.
So there's something that I've seen that is called therapeutic use exemption.
Yes.
Help us understand, what is that? What is therapeutic use exemption? So, that is self-explanatory, but for somebody who doesn't know what that means.
So from the start, most of the items or the substances on the prohibited list are common medications, very common medications.
Like?
Prednisolone, you can find it on the chemist, go over the counter, buy it, and you have it. So because of that, and also, for example, if I may tell you, something like insulin that is used to manage diabetes is on the list. Salbutamol that is used to manage asthma is on the list. And so because of that, and given that athletes can genuinely get any medical condition that may require treatment using that substance, so there is provision now that they can apply for a therapeutic use exemption. So if an athlete goes to the doctor and they're told, now, whatever I need to prescribe to you is on the list, because you tell the athlete, check the list, have your doctor check the list for you, and if you're told that this substance that I'm going to prescribe to you is prohibited, what we tell the athlete is, can you get an alternative? If there is no alternative, then the athlete has to apply for a therapeutic use exemption. How do they do that? They go to our website, download a form. And this form now will be taken to the doctor, and the doctor now will write down the diagnosis, write down the prescription, and the athlete will also give us their details, and that form now will come back to us. And when it comes back to us, we have a therapeutic use exemption committee that will look at that application. And once they agree with what the doctor has said, that indeed, for this case, this is what can be used to manage it, then the athlete will be given that TUE, allowing them now to continue with that medication. And if we test this athlete and we test positive of that substance they are taking because of their medication, then there will be no that process Martin is talking about. Because we already know this case, and we know it's a medication that he's taking, and we have all the information about that case, and therefore now with the TUE, there will be no sanctioning.
Dr. That TUE the committee comprises of who, and how many people are in that committee?
The TUE comprises of doctors, and of course they have to be probably sports medicine doctors. They have to understand what sports is all about. Some sports administrators, and some seasoned sports officers. So that's now constitutes that committee. And that committee is available on call at any time when the athlete applies for the therapeutic use exemption. They will be called as quickly as possible, and they will be able to sit and analyze the situation and analyze the medication and make consultations with even the doctor who is treating the athlete, so that then they can be able to make an informed decision. And sometimes they sit and advise even the doctor of other alternative medications that can heal the athlete, and they might not contain a prohibited substance. They only give the therapeutic use exemption only when there is no other alternative medication that can heal the athlete, because we normally say the health of the athlete comes first before any other thing. Yeah.
Well, for the most part, we've been speaking about athletes, but, and especially in this country when you say athletes, we think athletics. But your net is wide. Nowadays, you guys go to all sorts of sports. How much attention do you give the other?
Yeah. First of all, when we talk about the athlete, an athlete is a universal term which is used to refer to a player. So any player that gets involved in a competitive sport, in any sports discipline, whether it's athletics, whether it's football, whether it's any other sports discipline. And I think from the information I have from the sports registrar, we have about more than 300 sports disciplines in the country. And therefore, all of them, they are referred to as athletes. In our program, we are targeting all sports disciplines, not just athletics. There is just more emphasis in athletics because based on the risk assessment, there is a high propensity of doping in athletics probably than other sports disciplines, and probably our country participates more in athletics and gets more accolades in athletics. So it basically is just an assurance to the international community that the athletes whom we are presenting out there to participate in athletics are clean. But basically, we also cover football, we also cover rugby. Like, for example, the team that is going to Paris, we have tested all sports disciplines that are going for athletes that are going to Paris. So we have widened the gap to make sure that we cover all sports disciplines.
Where is the line drawn between what AIU does and what ADAC does? Where do you guys meet? We've read cases with Bernard where at times it's ADAC, then ADAC handed over to AIU. The lady that we read about a few weeks ago who got a long ban.
Yes.
Where is the meeting point?
Basically, we have what we call anti-doping organizations. And international federations are categorized as anti-doping organizations. And AIU is a wing of World Athletics. So World Athletics, they said in their wisdom, we will want to create a department that will deal with integrity issues, including anti-doping. ADAC is a national anti-doping organization. And in the spirit of a collaboration and coordination, we are encouraged to work together. Basically, as per the World Anti-Doping Code, AIU has jurisdiction to test and do an anti-doping program for athletes within the athletic sports discipline. And also us, we have jurisdiction to do that. And therefore, AIU selects athletes into their registered testing pool. And once AIU has selected an athlete into their registered testing pool who are international athletes, and then the AIU have jurisdiction over those athletes in terms of testing and also in terms of education. And therefore now ADAC now remains with athletes who are national level athletes. Basically those who are competing at the national level going downwards to the grassroots level. So that's where the distinction is. But we collaborate and we cooperate in testing, in education, sharing human resources, and sharing expertise and so on and so on. And therefore, and that's why some of the results that we are getting in the fight against doping in sports are being realized now.
Why? You say you cover all sports.
Yes.
So Bernard is an athlete, but also Bernard likes playing board games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a chess player.
Yes.
I play Scrabble as well. I represent the country. Would you test me?
Yes. Any player who is in competitive sports, yes, they will be tested.
And I think
you could be on Mera, so you could test positive for Kathin,
which is actually part of the list.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
David Munyasia, August, for Athens Olympics, sent home.
2004.
Yes, because of Kathin.
Okay.
And he told us, "Miss to me madawa, nilikula tu Mera," and was told, "Hey boss." Yeah. So I'm assuming for chess, something like that. A stimulant that keeps your brain up for long.
Yes.
And then let me ask, of course, because you're on the ground.
Yes.
Have you ever had very interesting experiences? Because you talked about the communication is very key.
Yes.
What are some of the cheeky things sportsmen and women do? Because I'm sure there are many.
So there are many, and one of it is trying to see if they can dodge it and maybe try to refuse. But we always tell them, refusal is same as you testing positive. So if I come to you and you say no, Ken or Bernard Mwai, you're not going to take my sample.
So it will be registered as?
It will be registered. And that will be an anti-doping rule violation because you refused. And the sanction is 4 years. So you can imagine just by not providing a sample, just simple as that, can attract a sanction. The other things that we're also finding is flimsy excuses. As Dr. Martin said, when an athlete tests positive, they are given a room for an explanation. Oh, why did your sample test positive? And they become clever, sort of.
Creative.
And they go to maybe a particular doctor, they come up with a juicy story, a fake document, and then they bring to us. Oh, I was sick, I was taking care of this kind of a medication. We do background checks, and we realize that it's a forged document. Now, that athlete has attracted a second ADRV, because there is one where they tested positive. Now they have brought in the aspect of forged papers. It becomes tampering. So they'll be charged with 2 different anti-doping rule violations.
So honesty is key.
Honesty is key.
And basically we encourage them. We encourage them to be honest and come forward and say probably if you have doped and you are sure you've doped, you come forward and be honest. And that's probably, we have provisions for, it's called prompt admission. We can reduce your sample. You're not your sample, your sanction. It can be reduced, because if you are to be given 4 years, you can be given 2 years. And probably if you assist us to also find those who might have introduced that sample into to you or administered to you, that can be a basis for us to reduce the sanction that you're supposed to be given. Yeah.
Dr. Martin, I sat in the multi-sectoral meeting at Kasarani when all this thing was being put together with Waziri and NIS and DCI and Athletics Kenya and would you say we are winning the fight, and what would make you say we are winning the fight, or are we losing it? Are we much better than we were a year ago? Are we worse than we were a year ago? And are there stats to tell us we are moving in the right direction?
The moment government expressed and gave goodwill on the fight against doping in sport to protect the image of the country, that was the start of the winning against doping in sport. There is all hands are on deck. Our ministry is really supporting this cause. They have given all the resources. The multi-sectoral approach is moving on very well. We have changed the attitude of our athletes. We are finding our athletes calling us, wanting to know what it's all about, how do they stay clean, how do they file their whereabouts, and we have also changed the approach of reaching the athletes to where they are training from, where they are camping, and they are welcoming us to their various places and listening to us. Actually, it is a very good stride in as far as the win is concerned, and therefore, as we continue fighting it, we are very optimistic that at one point we will stand up as a country and say we are winning this war.
Right. Well, the question we're asking you on the show is very simple in regards to the fight against doping. We're asking you, he's responded, he's given a sense of what has been done so far, and we asked you, do you think Kenya is winning the fight against doping? So you've shared your sentiments. Let's take a look at some of them and see what you're saying. We have your responses here. We'll have them shortly, and there we go. Peter Tirop says, why is doping so available nowadays? Who is selling it?
Is it more available nowadays, or are you guys catching people more nowadays?
Yeah, we are catching people more nowadays, and some of the prohibited substances are, as Kennedy said, they are found in normal medications. And sometimes an athlete can use them ignorantly or sometimes knowingly, and therefore some of these substances are available, readily available in the market.
Right, let's take a look at some other sentiments here, and we had seen one briefly. Let's have it on the screen, and there we go. Francis Lassie says only when corruption is eradicated. Interesting sentiment there. Let's have another one from Cherry Dixon. What does he say?
He says no, and I don't expect it to end.
Very pessimistic.
Yeah, doom and gloom.
Edwardson can't.
They are really trying.
I believe they're saying
to ADAC. They're really trying.
Indeed.
Thank you.
We have Kipkirui Evans, not really something that has been there before. Another pessimist. What does Chelule Robert say?
100% commitment. We've got to be committed as a country, as a people, as athletes, as a DAC, maybe to sort it out.
And a simple no.
Yep. Pablo Edebe is like, no way. No, we're not winning it. And Kipchumba says, yes, they're doing a great job, but at the expense of careers and livelihoods. Now, that's a bit what's the word used in medicine? Contraindicative.
Yes.
Yeah, because it says, you're doing a great job, fantastic, but it's at the expense of careers and livelihoods. So it's a great job, but it's hurting people. So
So somebody has sent me a sentiment here. I will not mention the person's name, but they're just saying there's an issue of sometimes confusion in terms of location. So they're saying in one part, but in the whereabouts, I think place where they're supposed to put in their whereabouts, it says somewhere else. So how do you handle such situations?
As I said, the athlete has that flexibility of changing their location. It is at their prerogative. They can change it.
So they have to check whether it's the correct one.
So we have to check, and so that when we go there, we know that this is where he was or where he said he will be. So it is that there is that allowance that the athlete can change their location, and we cannot say that we are going to bind this athlete to one particular location. They have that freedom.
Thank you. So now let's shift gears and take a look at something different. Daktari, thank you so much for your sentiments. Mr. Mwai, thank you so much for your sentiments. I'm sure it's been a class, Wakabi.
Yes, I'm fascinated by the details about sample collection. Yes. I am fascinated. Right. I didn't know it was that precise.
Yes. They have to be very thorough.
Yes. And
it's about fine margins.
They are so specific. They are so, like, it's got to be 60 and then 30, and you can't take your sample away, and I've got to watch you in the loop. No, I bet I watch you, but then no. I have new respect for the athletes who this happens to them. What's the average an athlete is tested? 10 times in a year, 20 times in a year?
Yeah, more than that.
30 times in a year?
As many as times as possible. Even in a month, we can do even 30 times every day. It should be no problem.
I think one thing I've learned, Wakabi, when it comes to ADAC, is predictability and unpredictability. I think that's the essence.
Yes.
And that helps them as well.
The most predictable thing is that they are unpredictable.
Yes. Now, what is predictable is the fact that on the show you always have on the timeline where we get a sense to appreciate what has been a big talking point in terms of different sporting disciplines. Now, this one we begin with what was happening at the British Grand Prix, Wakabi. Lewis Hamilton, back to winning ways.
Yep. It was a big weekend, and I always say this, I'm not a big Formula 1 fan, I don't watch a lot, but I hear he shed tears.
Yes.
That's Lewis Hamilton. He's broken Michael Schumacher's record for the most wins at a single circuit. So this is Silverstone. He made it 9. Yeah. So he's won his home circuit 9 times. I think just the mere fact that he was on the podium and he won, I think it's just unbelievable, because for the last 2 years, he's not been nowhere
since
close.
2021.
Yeah, so it's good for him to finally get one, and I understand the tears, I understand the emotion, and I understand his fans are so happy. His fans are like, see, we are back. I hope he is back. I hope this makes F1 a bit more interesting.
Right. Now, this next one was very interesting. Like, Wakabi, I know you have to do preparation, you have to prepare, but this is another level of preparation. We're talking about the Euros. Now, this is Pickford. If you take a look at that water bottle, you can see there he has some short notes, Wakabi. These are short notes that helped him to deny was it the Swiss?
The Swiss, yes.
In the penalty shootout.
The devil is in the detail.
Yeah.
And preparation, it just tells you can't be too prepared. That bottle had all the Swiss players and where possible side they will hit their penalties. So before because you can see it, before every kick he's up there, sort of takes a swig and then sort of looks and goes like Bernard will go left. And then he goes left. It's the detail, the level of preparation you have to put. And like you're right, it's a step further because they actually got it printed on the bottle. Because you saw it, was it in AFCON? Where we had the goalkeeper who had all of them stapled or stuck, like in small notes. This one, they went all the way and made sure they...
Cheat code.
I like that level of dedication and that level of preparation.
Now, in terms of... I mentioned this when I was doing the testing, that I'm a germaphobe, I'm a clean freak. And I loved what Romania did, Wakabi, after their game. Let's take a look at what they did after their match. They were disciplined. They left it spotless.
Yeah, they've taken over Japan. Japan are the ones who are famous for this. For years, Japan always do this. It's good to see another country go out there and do it. Like they decide, you know what? We have finished, we have lost, but we've cleaned up after ourselves and we leave a thank you note. It's beautiful. A lot more people should do it this way.
I agree as well. Now, there was Silverstone happening, the F1 in the United Kingdom. What I love about the British Wakabi, they can have several major championships happening and all of them are full house. Now, this is the Wimbledon. It was happening this weekend. And Wakabi, it was sporting royalty in the is it, what you know the name of the box? I don't know the different box.
In the royal box.
Yeah. So Peter Harris, career double champion. We have Joe Butler. We have Ben Stokes, cricket star. Your favorite Sachin Tendulkar.
Yeah, Sachin Tendulkar, Hannah Mills, Nick Dempsey, Sir Ben Ainsley. You know what I like the most about this is that they mentioned every single star that was there. And they went sport by sport. So they went to swimming, Adam Peat, that's the Olympics, Kate and Helen, that's in hockey. And they just made sure that they acknowledged every single star that was there. And I just remember thinking, what if we did this at our national trials? You know, it looks Sir Gareth Edwards, Leah Williamson,
Roy Hodgson.
And they finished, of course, I think with Pep Guardiola, Hannah Cockford. Like they literally moved every single star, they acknowledge them. And this clip is not long. It's probably a minute.
Yes.
But in a minute, they were able to do it.
Give a sense of who was there.
Exactly. I think it's really good to acknowledge that, you know what, we've got big stars present. Everyone, receive your flowers. I think it's really cool.
Now, staying with Wimbledon, Novak Djokovic, on the court, of course, he's doing his bit, but off the court, Wakabi was also helpful. Here he is just helping the team there just to roll off. Is it roll up or?
Yeah, I think the rain had stopped, so they're uncovering.
He's helping out. I like that.
He feels like, because all the other guys are gone, like there's no Nadal, there's no Federer, there's no Andy Murray. It's like he's the daddy of the place. So he's doing things that are a lot. He looks a lot more relaxed this year. I thought this was really cool. This, and remember when England won the penalty shootout, they stopped because there was a big cheer, and then he mimicked hitting a ball. He looks like he's having a bit more fun now that he doesn't have to worry about Federer, Nadal, Murray. Like he's the big boy. So he seems to have, shall I say, let his hair down? Yeah. Let his hair down.
Finally, this is something interesting. Of course, it's about rugby, and this past weekend was the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy, rather World Rugby Under-20 Championship. Kenya was competing in the World Rugby Under-20 Trophy. Of course, they play the United States in their next fixture. But now we're focusing on the junior Springboks, Wakabi. You know, some people I usually ask myself, what do they feed in South Africa? Because take a look at these players. This is an Under-20 player. 6'4", 6'3", massive units.
Yep, especially.
Is it the water?
if I say this often, it's like, you know, when they say you have a pipeline,
yes,
a conveyor belt of talent.
Yes.
I think this list just shows you what you mean by conveyor. They've got everything. They've got the guys who are 6 foot, and they've got a Cheslin Colby. You saw some short guy. It's like they've got. It's like they go and they're like, okay, we need the next guy, and we need the next guy. We need. It's unbelievable how they can produce that much talent. It's almost like Estebeda kitoka kuna mwingine anakuja. It's admirable.
Daktari, correct me if I'm wrong. Of course, we're talking about age there. Is that also within your purview, age cheating?
No,
not really.
Not really in our
purview. Because I know, I think
it's in the purview of AIU. But now he's purely on
anti-doping.
So it's not within your purview.
Not within our purview.
Okay. Yep. Final.
I know why you asked that. There was a story this week about age.
Why? Before I let you go, there's been something interesting. I saw that sometimes some athletes can be found to have a doping violation because of eating meat. That happens.
Yes. It's known that there's some areas where they grow meat or beef using steroids. So if that, and if, for example, the people who take rarely done meats, if they consume that kind of a meat, definitely that steroid that was used to grow that animal will be found within the athlete.
But what amount of meat would you have eaten so that you're able to have a... Because I'm trying to think.
I'm looking at it, and don't look at it in the way we consume our meat as Kenyans.
Yeah.
But look at how those who do rarely done meat.
Okay.
See, it's almost red. It's not fully done.
It's alive.
Yes. So that kind of meat, consume it.
You've made enemies.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that is the truth, because that contamination is happening.
Okay.
And if athletes are not careful with how they are eating their food, where they are eating it from, there's a likelihood that their sample will test positive.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Winning clean, that is the theme of the day. Thank you so much for joining us. I wish you all the best as, of course, continue preparations for the Olympic Games. For the entire team who made the show possible, thank you so much. We hope to see you again very soon on Sport.